So hello everyone, in this video I'll be talking about how you can add background classes in a Tailwind page. So let's see how we can add an image in a div. So for adding a background image in a div or in a container, you just have to call some classes here. So first of all, for adding background images, we have these classes. We have background different classes for adding background images and for other types as well. Like for managing the background, we have different types of classes as well. For adding background image, we just need to use the arbitrary values. So I told you what is arbitrary values are. Let's understand that how we can add it. So for adding a background image, I have added this image in the working folder, which is this image, uh, this one. So I have added this image. Now I can add this image by adding this bg class, and after the bg class I can use the arbitrary values in a square bracket. So I can write this square bracket, and inside that I can write a URL, and in the URL I can specify the image name. So this is how we add the background image. But if I add this and now if I go to the page, nothing will be there. And why is that? Because we cannot add any background image if the width and the height of a content or a div is 0. Because this div isn't containing anything. That's why the default height and width is 0. So we should be able to give some height here. So I can give height by adding this h dash, and I can specify, let's say 4. So it will have the width in some rem, and I can specify the width as well. So that will give uh, the height and the width to the image. Let me just remove this single quote. I think I'm missing that only. So you can see that the image is there, and now I can give the height and width in arbitrary values as well. So if I want that, so I can give 50%, or in rem also I can give the value. I can specify that. Let's say 10 rem width and 10 rem height. So if I do that, so the height and width should be larger. Now you can see that. Similarly, I can increase that to some extent, let's say 60 rem and 60 rem width. So that will be a little bit larger, right? So you can see that the image is a little bit larger. I can also give the height and width in viewport as well. So I can give like this as well if I want, viewport width. So you know that from CSS. So now it is 100 viewport width and the 100 viewport height is there. So this is actually we add images in a background. Some other classes are there as well. So you can explore all the classes by going into their specific title, like background attachment. You know what is attachment from CSS, that we can make the background image to be fixed, to be local, and to be BG scroll. So basically, let's add these by adding some content as well. So if I add BG fixed here, so this will actually make the image fixed in the background. You can see that this body is scrollable, but the image is fixed now in the background. So earlier it was not the case. It was actually scrolling when I was going down. So you can see that. So the image is scrollable, but if I add a BG fixed here, then the image in the background will not move. It will be fixed. You can see that. So if I make it smaller, then I think you will get the idea. Well, so now the scroll is not there. Let me just add some content as well, so I can show you what is the scroll. I can increase the data. So if I do this, now the content is larger. If I do a scroll, so you can see the background image is still fixed. It is not moving actually. So if we remove that BG fixed here, now the image in the background will also move when I scroll the page. So you can see that it is not actually fixed. So this is actually the basic behavior in BG fixed actually. So actually it is very good when you want to have some uh, let's say effect on the background when the content is inside the div, not outside the div. So we say it parallax effect. So if you want to have a parallax effect, then you'll get the idea like how we can create a parallax effect. So that's why we add some background attachment fix, then that looks like it is a parallax effect. So if I add that, so that will be a parallax effect. Now you can see that it is a parallax effect. Similarly, we have the different uh, classes like BG local and the BG scroll. And BG scroll is like the scroll which was the default case. If you don't add the BG fix, that will be the default case. And BG local will be like the container will move. Here you can see that. So it has given you the example that if we add a BG local and if we add a background image there, so if I scroll, the content is moving, also the background image is also moving. So in this, background image is fixed. It is not moving actually. But if I add BG local here, then if I scroll down in the content, then the background image will also move according to the content. Like if the content is moving down or up, then the image will also move down or up. So this is actually BG local. This you can do if you have a large data and you have a scroll as well. So you can do that by adding scroll. Similarly, we have the BG background clip property, BG clip border, BG clip padding, content text. All the examples are actually given to you, so you can see that as well. So if you want to have a BG clip border, then the image will not actually image will come from the borders. And if I add BG clip padding, then it will start the images from the padding. And if I add BG clip content, then it will start the image from the content where the content is actually starting. So it will start the background image from the border, it will start from the padding, and it will start from the content. So this is actually the case. And if you want to add a background image in a text, let's say if this is a text and you want a background image in the background of the text, then you will be using BG clip text here. So this is very easy. You just have to add a background image. In this case, it has added this BG gradient class, which is adding a background gradient. So it is for that. Similarly, we can add a background image as well if we want, but make sure you add this BG clip text here, so that you can do if you want. So let me just show you that. So if I remove this content and if I copy this line and let me just add this background image here. Now you can see this class is for making the text a little bit larger. This is for making the text bold. Now you can remove this class. This is not necessary. And bg clip text will actually clip the background image to the text only. It will not add the background image outside the text. And text transparent is for like used for adding a transparent color to the background of a text, like just like we add a text color. Similarly, we add a text transparent class to add a background transparent. So this is basically the color property of CSS, and you are setting that to transparent. And now you can add a background color by adding this gradient as well, or if you want a background image, so you can also get that. So if I see here, you can see the background is actually applied here by this gradient, which is from pink 500 to violet 500. But if I want a background image here, so I can similarly do that. So I can add an arbitrary value here, and inside that I can specify the image actually. So that will actually add a background image instead of a normal background gradient. So basically it is having some problem. So I think it is not getting that. Okay, the double quotes. So you can see that the background, in the background there is the image, but we are not able to see that. If I zoom out or zoom in, sorry, so you can see the background image is there, but we are not able to see that because the text is very smaller. You can increase the text sizing if you want, but I just wanted to show you that how you can add a background image in a text background. So this is actually for that. Similarly, we have a background clip. Other than that, we have a background color class. This you can get the idea. We have already done it in the previous videos as well. That for adding a background color, you can just specify the shade if you want. So for example, if you want a slate color, so you can specify bg slate, and then you can specify the number of shade you want, or how much darker you want for that color. So similarly, we have for different colors we have different shades. So for amber color you have to write this, for pink color, for indigo, all these colors are there. So you can explore all these colors if you want. But if you want your custom colors, or like your custom values of colors, that you can also do. So you can see it is using the uh, palette color, which is bg indigo, and the shade is 500. This 500 tells the intensity of the color, so how much darker you want, so you can increase that. But if you want your own color, let's say, so if I remove this one, let me just remove the background, and let me just get that the previous one. So here if I want a background color, let's say of different value, so I can also do that. So let's say I want a specific shade of colors, so that I can also do. Let's say I want this one, so I can get that by just adding this value here in the background. Okay, basically I don't add this single code, sometimes it makes problem. So you can see that the background is there because we have set that here, our custom color I have set. But if you want a shade or the palette color, so you can specify that. For example, if I want the shade of pink of 600 intensity, that I can do here. But similarly I can call blue. You have to get the color shade from the palette here, the earlier one I shown you. Similarly, we have the background origin class, that where you want the content to be started or the background to be started actually. So it is you can get the idea here that if you add bg origin border, then the image will actually start from the borders. So basically it is starting all the image from this border, And if you add bg origin padding, then it will start the image from the padding, and uh, it will start the image from the content where the content is actually starting. So it basically depends on a container, and if it has a border, so where should we start the image, or where should we start it, like from the borders or from the padding or from the content. So basically it is for that. Then we have background position class. This so we can implement here because we have a background image. We had the background image, but you can also get the idea from the docs as well. So let me just increase. Okay, okay, this one. Yeah, you can also get the idea from the doc that if I add a bg left top, so basically the image is this one, but this is the complete image, which is a little bit transparent. You can see that. So if I add bg left top, so it will grab the image portion of the top left corner of a complete image, and this is bg top. It will start the content of the top center. You can see that, and it will start the right top. Similarly, it is for bg left, bg center, bg right, left, bottom, right, bottom. We have different values, and if you can apply that. Similarly, we can also add bg no repeat. There is background repeat class. You can set that if you want. So bg left top means the image should be started from the left top direction. So if I add here, let's say bg left top, so basically this is our image. You can see here. So this is our image. So the top left corner will be this side basically. So this will start grab the portion of this top left corner, and it will show that to the browser. So you can see that it is the default behavior. So if I add bg, let's say right, let's say, so it will grab the portion of background image from the right direction. Basically it is this one. We haven't specified is it from the bottom or is it from the top, so it is grabbing it from the top. Similarly, we can specify right bottom, like here, bg bottom, bg left bottom, right bottom, or right top. Everything you can specify. This is actually the case. Similarly, we have the background repeat property. If sometimes the image is smaller and the container is larger, then at that time the image is repeated automatically. So if you want that to stop, or if you want the execution to be stopped, that you don't want the image to be repeated, then you can control that behavior, or how you want to like image to be vertically or horizontally be to be repeated, so that you can actually manage by these classes. So you can use the bg repeat, bg no repeat. Bg repeat will automatically repeat the image if it is smaller than a container, and it will repeat horizontally as well as vertically. Then we have bg no repeat, repeat x, repeat y, repeat round, repeat space. So all these you can count here. You can get the idea or the example. Like no repeat will not repeat the image. Repeat x will repeat the image horizontally. It will repeat the image vertically. Then we have bg hover classes and the other state classes that we also get the idea from the next video. Like I will tell you the how we can add the hover states as well in the next upcoming videos. So this is actually the behavior in this. Similarly, we have the background size, that you what you want to actually add here, or how the image should contain in a container. So if I add a background that you can get the idea from the CSS as well. Like we had the value of all these classes are like inspired from the CSS. So if you know the CSS properties well, there are background properties, all these properties are present in the CSS, right? So if you have the knowledge of all those properties, then you just have to implement them by adding these classes. So if I add here bg contain, let's say, so it will try to contain all the image in that container, whether it is of full height or full width or not. So you can see that. So the idea is also given to you here. So you can see that if I add a background cover, bg cover, so it will actually fill the background with this image. So if I add bg cover here, so it isn't actually doing that. Okay. Basically, I think it isn't applied to that. So we can get the idea here that if we add a background contain, so let's say this is the container of the this is our div container, let's say. So if I want to grab the image or I want to fit the image in the container, then bg contain will do that. So it will actually contain that image in this div. So contain means it will show complete image in that container. But if I add this bg cover here, so it will show only that part of the image which can fit inside this container actually. So this is for that. Then there are hover states, and then the other things are there. So basically you got the idea, right? So cover and contain is the main values. Cover will fill the image uh, in the container, whatever the height and width is there. So it will fill that container with that. And then there is bg contain. It will show the complete image in that container. And it sometimes this one in here you can see this empty space is there because sometimes the image cannot be completely fit inside the container. Maybe the height is larger or maybe the width is larger. So at that time it will leave you these spaces, these extra spaces that you can see here. So that's why contain is sometimes not used in many website. We use cover mostly. But if we add bg cover, background cover, then that will be actually fit inside the container, or whatever the portion of the image that can be filled inside the background container, that is actually applied by adding bg cover. So this is actually the case. And then I shown you how you can add background image. Then there is the background gradient classes as well, that bg gradient 2 dash t, that you can get the idea like what it is actually doing. So you can see how we can add linear gradient colors. So I shown you one example. So you can see bg gradient to right, so it is for going to the right direction. And then we can specify from sky, this is the palette color, this one is the palette color. You can also specify the arbitrary values here. And then this is the 2 indigo 500, which means you have to start the color from the sky 500 shade and you have to go to this indigo 500 shade. So this is actually applied here, this one. So this is actually how we can add the background gradient color. I can also add that in here if you want. So let me just add here. So bg I can add right gradient to right. I hope I'm not mistaking that. Yeah. And then you have to specify the shade color, which is, let's say, you have to start it from the red 400, and then you have to go to, let's say, orange, or let's say indigo will be the good one, 400. So it will actually apply the background gradient here from the right, like it will start from the left direction and it will go to the right direction. That is actually how we add the background gradient classes. I hope I did the same thing. Okay, maybe I'm mistaking in the shade. Let's say it is from the blue. Okay, okay, it is TO2, not the only T. You have to remember the class. Like I don't yet remember that because I'm grabbing all the things from this doc as well. So by the practice, you can get the classes, right? So this one is the example how you can add that. Similarly, you can change the different color. For example, if you want the green shade, or let's say you want a yellow shade, that you can do here. So that will be applied. So similarly, you can add the different gradient colors. And I shown you how you can add the background images like here. Like you can add the background image just like we did in the first example. We have the gradient color stops as well, like from inherit, from current, from transparent, from black. These are the like control values, you can say, of a gradient. So you can specify the starting color. It is telling you basically the same thing which I told you, that the starting color is defined by this from, and then the ending color is defined by this to. Then there is multiple colors as well. If you want some different color in the center, then you can specify via and then the shade of the color. Then you can specify if you want the transparency at the end, like it should start from the blue shade and then you can specify to a transparent color. Or basically you don't have to write this class, you can use this one actually. So it will actually apply the transparent automatically. You don't have to specify that. It is telling you that it was the case in the previous version or maybe, but now you can just add the one shade and it will automatically take the ending shade that is transparent. Actually, you can see the background gradient in a button as well. So we have added that. That's it. You can add the different arbitrary values as well, like show these are the shades we are adding by palette, right? So we are adding from yellow, this line can be modified to something else, like in the square bracket. So in the square bracket you can specify the color shade if you have, or color code you have. Similarly, we can specify that in here as well, like in the two as well. So this is it for this video. I hope you got the idea about some background classes. Basically, you don't have to remember all these classes. I told you that every technology has a doc. You just have to explore the doc very carefully. These Tailwind CSS classes are huge, so you cannot remember them at once. You just have to grab the idea. Okay, that these are the things that's present in Tailwind CSS. You just have to use them in your projects. So if you got stuck somewhere, you can just go to the doc and you can get the idea, right? So this is it for this video. I hope you got something. In the next video, I'll be telling you about some other classes in the Tailwind CSS. So let's meet in the another one. Thank you for watching.